All right, and here we are, another edition of Dave Rothenberg's Giants Obsession. So my shirt is making noise today. People are seeing this shirt. Tell me about the shirt. You know what it is? It's a conversation starter. And let me explain what this is about. I walk in, the EP of the show, Joey goes, tell me about your shirt. I'm intrigued by your shirt. I said, you ever seen Ted Lasso? Yep. You remember Believe? That was their motto with the team? Yep. Well, there you go. You have to believe, because if you can't believe, if you don't have hope, what do you have? And then I'm walking through the hallway, and Nico goes, Ted Lasso? Yep. And also, on top of all that, I walk in today, and they barrage me with this question of who are the top three teams in the NFL. I wasn't prepared for it. There was no sitting and thinking and going over it. Just who are the top three teams in the NFL. So we'll throw that out on social media at some point in the next, I would think, 24 hours. So what do we have today? We have a lot going on today. We have the sadness of the loss to the Eagles. I guess the positive that you can look at and say is the Giants split with the Eagles this year. And there's a lot of ideas that I have going into the show today, such as, I mean, we didn't even discuss this last night because I was so despondent and angry and annoyed. A
loss like this should probably lead to divorce.
No, stop it. Okay. And that is, I don't ever want to play the same team twice in 3 weeks. It's ridiculous. There's 18 weeks of the NFL season, and now you have to play the Eagles 2 times in 3 weeks. And it's not just Giants specific. Like, as the season progresses, your team changes, right? Like you see a different piece of your team, a different way your team plays. Guys are hurt. Guys are not hurt. So to play the same team twice in 3 weeks is ridiculous. It's ridiculous at any point. It's ridiculous week 1 and week 3, week 4 and 6, what the Giants just did. I think last year they played Washington 2 out of the final 3 weeks of the season. It makes absolutely no sense. It is absolutely ridiculous. So is Philly. They played Philly 2 out of the final 3 weeks of the regular season last year. It makes absolutely no sense. Couple things in the NFL make absolutely no sense. We'll get to it. So we're going to do a new segment on the show. And it was my idea. So if it stinks, it's all on me. And if it's great, it's also all on me. But you can help me. And let me explain how. We're going to call it the State of the Giants 6-pack. So get your Giants questions in now. Right now through, I don't know, about 1:50, 1:45 Eastern. And at that point, we will get to 6 questions around the Giants. Now, how do you do that? It's very, very easy. Okay? Twitter, at DRNYGO. That's how you throw your questions in. You follow us on Instagram, TikTok, DR Giants Obsession, Spotify, of course, Dave Rothenberg's Giants Obsession. But we want your 6-pack of questions. And I guess you could even throw them up on the YouTube chat, although that's probably less clean for the guys to deal with. But anyway, you want to get your questions to us by 1:30-ish today. We will take the best 6, put them on the air, and ask those questions. So let that commence right now. I'm sad because as a Giants fan, especially at 2-6, there's not a lot of hope, right? Like, we know they're not going to be a playoff team again, which is very frustrating and painful to look at this team and say, 8 games into another season, before October of another season, the Giants have 0 chance to go to the postseason. Fine. So then what are the things that you look at and you say, I'm excited about this? I'm excited to see Abdul Carter play. Okay, great. I'm excited to see Brian Burns play. Okay, great. Dexter Lawrence feels like he's come back to life a little bit, like he's not that same player that he's been in the past, but there are still pieces that you look at that you're excited by, right? On defensive side of the ball, it's Carter, it's Burns, it's a little bit of Thibodeau, and that's it. That's not a ton defensively. And then on offense, it was what? It was Dart. Great. I'm excited to see Dart. I really am. I enjoy watching him play football every single week, and he gives you hope. He makes you believe, right? And then what are the other pieces that made you believe alongside Jackson Dart? For starters, Malik Neighbors, gone. Cam Scatterbo, gone. So why do you, in fact, like someone says to you, let's go apple picking. It's beautiful. The fall, oh, the leaves are changing color. And your wife, your girlfriend says to you, you know what would be great? Sunday, 12:30, let's go apple picking. And your retort would be, are you crazy? The Giants are playing. I can watch Cam Scatterbo. I can watch Malik Neighbors. I can watch Jackson Dart. Well, now you can't watch Cam Scatterbo. You can't watch Malik Neighbors. And all you're down to is Jackson Dart. So you're on the verge very soon of having to do that godforsaken apple picking. I've done that. I remember doing it one Sunday in the fall, and we had to go at like 9:30 in the morning. And we got there and it was a wait, there was a line, and then at like 11:30, 11:45, it started to get very antsy. I was like, let's get out of here now. And we left and we made it home in time for kickoff. But the only thing standing in the way of you and apple picking right now is Jackson Dart. Because if your significant other has any knowledge of the NFL and of the Giants, if God forbid, and knock on wood that this does not happen, if Dart were to get hurt, you're now knee deep in Red Delicious, right? If God forbid Jackson Dart gets hurt, you're now knee deep in the Macintosh apple. That's the truth. You come up with any apple you want to think of. I can't even. What are other important apples to society? Apple cider. You're now downing apple cider like it's going out of style. You're now eating apple crisp like you don't know what to do. You're now drinking apple cider vinegar. That's the thing. If you're this far away from that happening, guys, this far. So Jackson Dart cannot get hurt. Cannot get hurt. And the loss of Scadaboo, it's a massive loss because he's an energy guy. And not only is he an energy guy, but he's good. Like, there are some guys that are all about the hype. And there's some guys that are all about the hype and the production. He's that. Like, he's an energy guy. He's an exciting player. He adds life to an organization which was kind of sort of dormant, right? But here's the thing. He was a touchdown machine. And even before getting hurt yesterday, it was a graphic, gruesome injury that they wouldn't even show it again. They're like, trust me, it's a bad injury. We're going to commercial. And what's that? He was a touchdown machine. He had the touchdown yesterday. He had 7 touchdowns. Remember the red zone for the Giants, which was comically bad for such a long time? Not anymore. The Giants' red zone has actually been more than capable. They've actually been good since the whole Dart and Scadaboo combination have jumped in here together. And now it's going to be Tyron Tracy. And he's fine. He's not bad, but he's not special. There's nothing overly exciting about Tyron Tracy. He's a guy, is what he is. And it's another piece. See, what worries me, and I hope it doesn't happen, is that the Giants brass, the decision makers in this organization, look and say, well, they went 3-14, but they didn't have Neighbors. They didn't have Scadaboo. We were impressed with what the quarterback turned himself into under the tutelage of Brian Daboll, so we're going to bring back this regime. That's a concern. Not if you win 6 games and they're heading in the right direction. If you win 3 and the excuse is, yeah, but you didn't have this guy and you didn't have that guy. So it's something to be very, very much aware of with this team. This team is now ravaged by injuries. The secondary is a disaster. Cordell Flott has been good. Cordell Flott is now out. Paulson Adebo has been, if not good, your most reliable corner. Paulson Adebo is now out. Javon Holland has been pretty good. Javon Holland is now out. They are taking an absolute beating as far as injuries are concerned. And I've heard differing reasons about it. Is it just bad luck? Maybe. Is it the fact that, and Jordan Renan has said this, quote, they run a country club-like atmosphere, so guys are not in the best of shape when the season rolls around. The only thing that I would say to kind of deflect that is these are not normal injuries. These are not like soft tissue injuries where an ankle gets twisted. No, these are massive, catastrophic injuries that I don't think a soft or a difficult or a hard, training camp really has much impact whatsoever. So what else do we have today you'd like to know? We're going to do a Mount Rushmore. And I was thinking about this Mount Rushmore about an hour ago. And when I sent the list to the guys, I felt like this could be an animated, heated, anger-producing Mount Rushmore. And you'll see what we mean a little bit later on in the show. So what else do we have to do today? We got to get into the officiating because it was as bad as you've ever seen. And we talk about hope, and that will be a big theme of the show today as well. So some key moments in this game. Now, I want it understood before I get into attacking the officials and saying how poor I thought they were in the game yesterday. I don't think the Giants are winning this game anyway. I don't. And I've had a lot of people on my radio show, on this show, via email, via Twitter, giving me a hard time. Do you think that I wouldn't love if there was a built-in excuse, and I could sit here and tell you the Giants didn't win this game because of this. Oh, and they got rooked, they got hosed, and that's why, in fact, they lost this football game. It impacted the game. But here's the problem. When you allow the opposition to run for 276 yards, you have no chance of winning. And that's what they allowed during the meat of the game. God forbid it was a close game. And it can't be a close game because you can't allow 276 yards and realistically have this be a close game. And when the quarterback of the opposition, Jalen Hurts, throws 5 incompletions and 4 touchdowns, that's not a recipe for success either if you're the Giants. Now, I thought the front four did a decent job. They got to Hurts 4 times, which, under normal circumstances is pretty good, being as athletic and mobile a quarterback as in fact he is. But they had no chance to win that game, and they didn't deserve to win that game. That being said, couple of plays. There's going to be a play yesterday that will empower the NFL to make a massive sweeping change. This tush push, it's always been really moronic and never made all that much sense. But you're going to look at yesterday, that play with Kayvon Thibodeau, as the death knell to the tush push. When they go into the owners' meetings, you're not going to have Jason Kelsey give this impassioned speech about, oh, it's the greatest play in football history, and the tush push has to come back. No, it's dead. Because a couple of reasons. A, it's a stupid play. All right, you had Micah Parsons tweeting about it a couple of weeks back. They did it last time these two teams played. The Eagles did it 4 consecutive plays. It is a ridiculous, ridiculous play. But on top of all of that, they have no idea how to officiate this play. None. They don't know when to blow it dead, when to keep it going, when a guy's jumping off sides, when he's not. They have no understanding of this play. This is it. Enjoy it. If you're a proponent, and I can't imagine, unless you're an Eagles fan, you have anything nice to say about this tush push. If you're a proponent of the tush push, enjoy it. Because you're going to get another, 9 weeks of this, and then you're going to get the postseason, and then it's done. It's dead. It's buried. We say goodbye to this stupid, stupid play. So that was an awful no call. It was a fumble. You saw it in live action. You saw it when you watched the game in slow-mo. You saw it when they went to natural sound. It was so funny because they're like, well, you know what? Let's listen to what the officials heard because we're pretty confident there is a whistle that blew this thing dead. So they show it. He pushed forward. He reaches out. The ball's taken away. Thibodeau's got it on the ground, and then the whistle. So I'm sorry. It made no sense. It's not why they lost. It made no sense. It never will make sense, and it needs to be changed. So enjoy it, the final 9 games of the regular season and the postseason, because this thing is gone. That pass interference on Darius Slayton. Now, I am hardly a Darius Slayton apologist. Hardly. Okay? However, that's not an offensive pass interference. It was criminal. You watch that, and again, that was one of the worst officiated games that I've seen in quite some time. And for that to come on the heels, and I'm not comparing it, and I'm not saying there's anything nefarious going on here, but to have that on the heels of what's going on in the NBA is just a bad look for the NFL. Because I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me. You think it's coincidental? I don't think anything has anything to do with the other. Nothing. So let me get that straight with you right here, right now. That being said, it is a bad look. All right. So officiating, brutal. It really was. That was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. And had that, you had a play call that went the wrong way, the Giants down 2, something like that happens on a 3rd down and it ruins the game for them. Yeah. Now we're talking about they had that game stolen. They didn't have the game stolen. The Giants were not the better team. The Giants did not play well. The Giants did not tackle well. The Giants did not defend the run well. The Giants yesterday, right in front of your eyes, were a bad football team. The Giants have now given you 5 straight really bad quarters. And think about this now. In the last 5 quarters of play, the Giants have allowed 70 points. 71. 33 points in the 4th quarter against the Broncos. 38 points in the 4 quarters against the Eagles, 71 points. So you tell me what the issue is with this team. It's defense. It's stopping the run. It's getting pressure on the quarterback consistently. Then it's a problem, and it's not going to change. You don't have a lot of wins on the schedule, and we know it. So what do we hold out hope for? Jackson Dart. and the whole apple picking scenario once again. Defense. You need to figure out a way to slow down the rushing attack for the opposition. I mean, you think it's coincidental that if you slow that down, you have a good chance to win, and if you don't, you're not going to win? That's what we've seen now. That's what this team is. If you can't slow down the rushing attack for the opposition, you're going to lose. And Philadelphia had 2 guys go for over 100 yards. Tank Bigsby, who most people didn't know walked the planet. And if you're a big football fan, you might not have known he was on the Eagles. And if you knew he was on the Eagles, I don't think you went in game planning. We've got to stop Tank Bigsby. And Saquon. And Saquon ran for what, $150. Bigsby goes for 104 yards. These guys average 11 yards a carry. 11 yards a carry. Think about that for a second. If they hand the football off and they're in the 3rd and 10, they're getting it. They picked up a 2nd and 31, for God's sakes, during the game yesterday. I mean, that's what happens when you're not a good football team. So you want to blame Dable? Fine. You want to blame Bowen? Fine. You want to blame the players? Fine. You want to blame the run defense? Fine. And again, and this is incredible. A, the tackling or lack thereof is really at a level that's shocking. And B, the lack of contain. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like it. You start going up. I mean, and the Giants have to study this on film, and the opposition has to say to themselves, all right, listen, Saquon, whatever you do, bounce this baby outside, because I promise you, they're not keeping contained. They never do. They haven't in quite some time. And how is it when you have so many guys getting paid at such a high number on this defense that nobody can keep their contain, that you should be shredded like you are? I get it. The secondary is not healthy. That's not Dexter Lawrence. That's not Abdul Carter. That's not Kayvon Thibodeau. That's not Brian Burns. That's not Bobby Okereke. It's not. All right. The front 7 needs to do a better job. And I feel like we're just banging our head against the wall every single week. It's a problem every single week. How do you allow this guy to break to the outside and get yardage? How do you allow this guy to do the same? And by the way, for your troubles, you know, you have coming up this week, Christian McCaffrey. So enjoy yourself. You need to be able to stop the run. Nico, Steve, that's just 20 minutes of content I've given you. But let me bring you guys on so I can take a moment to catch my breath, because I'm annoyed by the Giants. And I hear you guys chit-chattering away in the other room. Pop on right now, Nico and Steve, and let's have a conversation. Hello.
Hello, Dave.
What's up, Dave?
Look at you. His Jets win a game. This guy, all of a sudden, he's like King Lear. He's never been more excited than he is right now.
I'm just happy because I'm here
Mm-hmm.
on the show. And I love your hoodie.
Do you like it, right?
I love Ted Lasso. It's a fantastic show.
Who doesn't?
It's one of the best shows, easily.
Best scene in the history of Ted Lasso so far. What do you think?
The best scene?
Yeah, do you have a scene that like rings true to you? Because I have mine, and I'll say it, and you might. The darts? Yeah. So that's
the darts
he's
is
right.
a good one.
The darts is great.
I loved when his dad,
No, his dad died when he was a kid. That was the whole
No,
point of the dart scene.
not Ted Lasso. When Jamie Tartt's dad came in the locker room and was being really mean and was like horrible, and Tart punched him, and then after Roy Keane gave him the hug, that was like
That was a lot.
Like that was a lot.
Jamie Tartt's father does not seem like he's a great dad
No,
by
not
any
at all.
stretch. So you like this? You like this sweatshirt? I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you. All right.
Oh, here we go.
What do you mean?
We get
So
free
jealous.
sweatshirts.
He
from
didn't
the-
say we.
Okay.
He didn't say we.
You.
I didn't say anything
Settle
about
down.
we.
Okay.
Okay,
You.
Nico, I don't know how you're lumping yourself in here.
I brought up the belief thing
All
before
right,
even
Nico,
Steve
again,
did.
I'm not quite sure how you lump yourself here, especially after last night's debacle when you put on our screen "Go Birds." Okay,
That's crazy.
crazy.
I wanted the social media interaction.
Now, Steve, at 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, we're going to paint your face live during the show, aren't we?
Sadly, yes.
You know what
Giants
we're going to do?
colors.
We're
not
going to
excited.
do it as you're wearing a Believe sweatshirt. That's what we're going to be doing.
I can't get paint on it though.
No,
That would suck.
no, of course not. That would be very bad. Maybe we'll drape it next to you, and then after you can put it on. You
Hang
will
it.
have that in your possession. It'll be like the barter. You pay off with the face paint. This show pays off with the beautiful Believe.
You know, I
sweatshirt.
won the Ryder Cup hat, and now like Steve wins the DNR hat, and now he's getting a Believe
I haven't got
sweatshirt.
that yet. It's not, what do you mean?
You're a big complainer.
I'm
huh?
not complaining.
What do you
Sounds
mean you're not
like it.
complaining? I mean, do you not have a beautiful Ryder Cup hat?
Beautiful. It's
Okay.
mounted in my room.
Great. And I'm sure, and I hope you wear it very proudly.
I'm very
But for you to
excited about
sit here and complain, I find to be a very unattractive quality in you.
it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm getting
Um,
physically abused in the office.
What do you mean? Who
What are
physically
you talking
abused you?
about?
You.
Me?
What did I do?
No, you don't.
Oh, you're
Well,
looking at me.
Steve emotionally abuses me.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
whatever.
listen,
though.
but the
Not a
fact
big
that you
deal.
guys have a work marriage is not my fault, and I don't want to get in between.
Married
All right. Do we have any
You guys are like
questions
a
or
married
comments?
couple.
I know we're doing the big six pack at about 45 later on this hour. Do I have any questions or comments to get to right now?
Yeah, we actually do.
What do you sound surprised?
No.
We have over 2,610
Boom.
subscribers on YouTube.
Boom.
Okay. Don't be surprised.
I'm not surprised. I just,
All right.
you know, give a little thing. David Carlson, my every episode appreciation post for Nico and Steve bringing the top-notch production and comedy. Respect.
What
Love
a
you, David.
surprise that you were able to dig that one out of the depths of all the comments. Yes, they do a great job. I give them a lot of credit. We think that they do a phenomenal job. We're lucky to have them. Thanks, guys. You're amazing. You have
You're welcome.
anything else?
Yeah, I do. I actually wanted to bring this up yesterday and I didn't get the chance to, but just one NYG said Scat got hurt on a hip drop tackle. 53 should have been ejected. When is the officiating on this hip drop tackle happening? Because I see it every game.
It happens now. I will tell you this. I see the problem is that the highlight is not like easy to find now because I feel like they wanted to bury it because they don't want to see the gruesome injury. So at first glance, it didn't even really occur to me that it was a hip drop tackle, and I haven't really seen it since. So it's hard for me to give you a fair determination whether or not that was a true hip drop tackle. But I will tell you this: I haven't seen anybody say that. Like that is not something that I've really seen.
I
out
saw
there.
it this morning coming.
Have
in.
you? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have to watch it again. And the problem is, it's hard to view that play right now because it's not like it's all around social media. I'll find it and I'll look at it and I'll see, but it was not something that I originally thought about. And maybe I'll change my mind when I see it.
I remember it was a big
thing
thing going into the season, especially last year too, but that they were banning the play and they were going to, look at it more. It is a personal foul. It's banned. It's a personal foul, but I do see it. It's just up to the ref's decision.
But that's anything.
Yeah,
hands go on the face mask is up to the officials. I mean, and we sit here and we discuss it. The officiating is bad, right? Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I will say this: it is really, really hard to officiate this game because if you look, and I don't know if you guys have ever been near a sideline for an NFL game. The game is fast. It is physical. I mean, you have to be in position. You have to be careful for your own safety. It is hard to officiate this game. That being said, I mean, they have help from up above now, right? They have that like instant review that they do, and then they call back down with the information from that. It's not officiated well, and the problem is you could probably call a penalty on almost every single play, right? Like you watch these games, there is holding, there are guys doing certain things almost every play, and you would just hope that the officials would do their best to not make statements, but they can't get out of their own way. And I agree. I think the officiating is really bad. All that being said, I will watch the hip drop tackle or alleged hip drop tackle again, and I will let you know my thoughts about that on Wednesday's show. What else do we have?
From Sal Muscles, we haven't had a good linebacker since Antonio Pierce.
I don't think that's fair. I think Bobby Okereke is a good linebacker. I don't think he's a great linebacker. The weird thing is, and you guys won't even understand what this means, Joe will. When I grew up, the Giants were a brutal football team. They're like a 3-win team, a 4-win team. The playoffs, as they are now, we've come full circle, were a pipe dream. But even in that day and age, like 1976, 1977, the Giants were a disaster. You had Brad Van Pelt, you had Brian Kelly, you had Hall of Famer Harry Carson, and they always had great linebackers. And then you graduated to Steve Diassi and, of course, Lawrence Taylor and Carl Banks and Pepper Johnson and Bobby Abrams and continue with Harry Carson. So it was something that I just felt, I guess I took it for granted, is that the Giants will, even if they're bad, and they were bad exclusively until I was about 10 years old, even if they're bad, don't worry, they're going to have great linebackers. And it feels like I'm now paying that debt off for having great linebackers throughout my youth because they have not prioritized linebackers at all. At all.
The most recent one is probably Blake Martinez before Bobby
He was
Okereke.
fine.
He had
Michael
a great
Boley-
season before he left to go
Michael
sell
Boley
Pokemon
was
cards.
good. He was a really good player. Antonio Pierce, like the I say caller, but the tweeter mentioned was really good. But they have not had great linebackers in quite some time. And the truth is, it's kind of not prioritized by the NFL anymore. It's kind of how do you get to the quarterback and then protecting the back end. So I think of the 3 layers, the 3 levels, linebackers probably the least important now. But man, were we spoiled. We really were. Anything else?
No more questions, but I do want to give a shout out. Oh, that's not right here. Blake Martinez. That was the shout out from Dread.
Okay. He was good for a minute. He was fine.
He had a great season that one season before he left to sell Pokemon
He was
cards.
not great. He was good. I'll give you good.
Did you? Have you heard
I
that
wouldn't
story?
think back to the history of Giants football and think to myself, you can't tell the story without that pretty good season of Blake Martinez. I would not put that in there. What did you want to say? You said you had something else that you wanted to throw up there.
No, that was it. That was the one.
I thought you said you had something else you wanted to say.
No, that was the one.
I feel like you're lying to me.
I'm not lying to you.
All right. Steve, what color are you going to want your Ted Lasso sweatshirt in?
Ooh, a dark blue, maybe.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to present
honestly,
the
whichever one
options
you
to you.
can.
I'm going to present. It'll be like a palette, like a clean slate, and I'm going to present the options. You're going to choose what color and color pattern you'd like the best. Okay? Yeah. And I think it's going to look great on you. Anybody in your family maybe would want one?
No, I don't think anyone in my family's seen it, sadly.
No, nobody in your family. You have like any acquaintances, anybody else in your life that you've ever crossed paths with that you think might like one?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, you give it some thought because I'd
will.
like to buy 2, but I don't really have anybody to give the second
He's just
one
rubbing it
away
in
to,
at this
so.
point. I think.
Oh, you know what? I forgot about you. I guess I could
Oh, hey,
consider
Nico.
you, but you already have that beautiful Ryder Cup hat.
I do already have that.
So I don't know that you're deserving of a lot.
Never wears on the show. Which
And
is
to be
kinda
fair, I
weird.
never finished Ted Lasso, so I don't deserve
You
it.
never finished Ted
yeah,
Lasso?
you don't
it's coming.
deserve it.
It's coming back.
Yeah, I'm a bad TV watcher.
You're an awful TV watcher.
Yeah, I am.
And is this not true that I heard that you are in the midst of watching The Sopranos and not really a huge fan of the show?
God.
No,
dude.
season 2's picking up. I like season 2 a lot better than I did like
There you
season
go.
1.
But season 1 was also great.
Yeah, it was good. It's just I think too many people have been like hyping it up my entire life, like, oh, it's the best show of all time. And like season 1 was
Because
all right.
It is.
It is one of the best shows of all time.
Season 1 was all right.
Breaking Bad, great show.
Breaking Bad's my favorite show of all time.
Sopranos, great show.
Better Call Saul.
Better Call
I
Saul's a
love
great
Better
show.
Call Saul.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's good.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
because it's
It's
such
really
a commitment now.
Yeah.
It's such a commitment now.
Yeah.
That I mean, what is it like 8 seasons? I don't.
They keep going.
Yeah, it just goes and goes and goes. All right. So we'll bring you guys back a little bit later on for the 6-pack of questions. Hopefully those are rolling in. If they are not, let me just tell you once again that we're doing a Giants 6-pack at about, I don't know, 1:45 Eastern today, which is about 17 minutes from right now. So throw your questions out there. We will get to them, and we're excited to hear them. Kind of a big State of the Union address as we are right about that halfway point of the season. All right. Offensively, see, here's the thing, and this is the thing that makes you believe. Jackson Dart. That's it. You know, and I've gotten a lot of, it's 5 games. Can you calm down? When you have it, you know you have it. When you watched Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not saying he's going to be Patrick Mahomes or Dan Marino or any of these guys, okay, for the record. But when you see that guy play at that level, you know you have it. He is the goods. He has it. He is doing this with Lil Jordan Humphrey, Bo Collins, Daniel Bellinger, who got hurt, by the way, yesterday, Theo Johnson, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. He is, you talk about making chicken salad out of chicken, you know what? That is exactly what Jackson Dart is doing right now. So take a step back and think about this and digest on this for a moment. What happens when this offseason the Giants add another, like a good, solid right guard to this offensive line? And then, knock on wood, you get back, this is like a bad formica, but you know what I'm saying. You get back Cam Scatterbo next season. And then you get back Malik Neighbors next season. And then the Giants decide that, you know what we think? We think that wide receiver is the biggest need we have right now. So with the 6th overall selection in the 2026 NFL draft, the Giants will take the best available receiver on the board. Then what do things look like, guys? Then all of a sudden, you have an elite left tackle, you have a competent left guard, you have a decent center. We're going to give you a really good right guard in free agency or the draft, and a serviceable and maybe beyond right tackle. And then Scatterbo is back, and then Neighbors, and then another good receiver, and then Jackson Dart. Tell me that doesn't whet your appetite to think about what it might look like. So you have hope. And that's the difference between the Giants and the Saints right now. And that's the difference between the Giants and the Titans right now. Because I like Cam Ward and still think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. You can't convince me for a second that Cam Ward is a better quarterback and will be a better quarterback than Jackson Dart. You can't. And that's the difference between the Giants and the Jets right now. Because the Giants are hardly a great team, and they've competed in some games. They had a couple of awful losses that they probably should have won, but so did the Jets. The Jets probably should have won that opening game against the Steelers. The Jets could have easily won that game against Tampa Bay. The Jets won that game yesterday. The Jets could have won that game in London against the Broncos. So what separates the Giants and the Jets? The fact that Giants have the quarterback. The fact that Giants have hope for the future at that position. And the truth is, the Jets, quite frankly, they just don't. They just don't. What do we see happening right now with this defense and the injuries? It's on the verge of being catastrophic. Now, I know it happens to every team around the NFL, but why when it happens to, well, I guess you know why. Because these other organizations are just put together better, right? I mean, the Niners are more functional. You have John Lynch, you have Kyle Shanahan, and it's a better team. But I'll ask kind of a rhetorical question. Why is it that the Giants get injuries to important players on defense and it all falls apart? And the Niners suffer injuries to important pieces on defense, and they find a way to, take this guy and make him functional, take this guy and make him capable. Oh, this guy was an undrafted rookie. We'll put him there, makes big plays. Like, why is that? Isn't it interesting that the teams that make it work always seem to make it work, and the teams that can't get out of their own way never seem to be able to get out of their own way? It's pretty remarkable how that works, right? Like Philadelphia, always now with Howie Roseman, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Nick Sirianni, they find a way to make it work, right? Continuously. The Chiefs always find a way to make it work. The Bills could suffer, injury after injury, and they do. Poyer's now out. Ed Oliver is now out, and somehow they're capable. Now, their defense is not great, but it's capable, and they win games. And that's the bottom line, what this is all about. And the teams that can't figure it out, they never figure it out. They never figure it out. And the Giants are one of those teams. I want to look at the offensive line for a moment. And this is another thing as well. The offensive line, and I don't think that's a coincidence, has suddenly gotten just that much better because the quarterback is capable and the quarterback is mobile. And when Russell Wilson was that guy, it was a disaster. And it would continue to, because Russell Wilson started out and was getting worse. Jackson Dart is so mobile and so capable that all of a sudden, if I said to you, give me the top 3 things the Giants offense is not doing properly, offensive line might not even be one of them right now. So it just goes to show you that the quarterback playing at that level and being mobile the way he is changes the entire feel and the entire dynamic of this team. And that's a big plus that they have going for them right now. So the offensive line. Now, 5 sacks, you say 5 sacks, and I would tell you this, that although you have suffered 5 sacks, how many of those truly are on the quarterback? Yesterday, you'd probably say that at least 2, if not 3, are on the quarterback, right? I mean, he has to be better. He cannot continue to sit back there. See, he's got to learn there's nothing wrong with getting rid of the football. There's nothing wrong with 1st and 10, massive pressure. Let me throw the ball into the 3rd row and let me see a 2nd and 10, rather than A, take punishment, which is the last thing you want to have happen, and B, just put yourself in a position where you're going to take a sack, and now you're going to set up a 2nd and 17 for an offense that's really not equipped to succeed in a 2nd and 17. But I will say that the offensive line, with the better quarterback, is a much better version of themselves. All right, so I believe, guys, that we have some good news. And it's not a lot of good news we share on this show, but I believe we have some good news. Guys, would you do me a favor and throw up my picks for the week? Yeah. So you shut your mouth. You look at these picks. Patriots, easy win, -7.5. Saints, what a stupid pick, +4.5. And the Bills, -7. I'm going to retell you a story from last week. So I'm 10-14 on the year. I'm slowly moving towards that 500 mark. But here's the thing that's so troubling. When I sent the guys my picks on Friday, they said, what are your 3 picks? And I said, Patriots -7.5, fine. Saints +4.5, fine. Bills -7, fine. I get a response. Dave, we think you made a mistake. You took Saints +4.5. Obviously, you meant Bucks -4.5. And I responded, snippy. I said, no, I'm not a moron. I meant to take the Saints +4.5, and I'd like to take the Saints +4.5. Okay, Dave. Well, I should listen to the 2 guys in the other room because I took the Saints +4.5, and what an awful pick that was. That stood in the way of us going 3-0. I mean, we'd be sitting here at 11-13 otherwise. But there's a lot of season to go. We're 10-14, and we will change the momentum as we continue along. I don't know why they're giggling. Guys, you can hop on and explain why at this moment I hear giggling from the other room. What's happening?
No, we're about the Saints pick. Steve, because when you said it on the air on Friday, Steve was like, "That's the dumbest pick I've ever seen." And yeah, I mean, it didn't work out for you.
Yeah.
So you make your money as a gambler, Steve? Is that what you do? Like you just have endless
I haven't
amounts of
been that
money?
hot lately. I'll be honest. I've been like just off on my NBA parlays, but come on, Dave.
Yeah, your next
It was a
parlay
bad
went.
pick.
Yeah,
Well,
went great
you know what,
yesterday.
Steve? How about giving me a pat on the back for the Patriots -7.5?
No, I'm
Or for the
happy.
Bills -7. Like I went 2-1, and I got to be criticized by you? Who? I mean, talk to any professional gambler. Any professional gambler that walks the earth. You know what the first thing they'll tell you is? Parlays are for morons.
No, I agree.
Only an idiot. You agree, yet you still do it.
Well, I put like a couple bucks on.
It doesn't matter.
It's not like I put a 30,
How about
50
I
bucks.
work as your bank? How about you make the bets with me? And then I'm like, you'll make no, Steve, I'm sorry, you didn't hit. You owe me $4. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, you won't do it.
You won't do it.
You're not man enough to do it. You know what we have to do? Do we have any questions, comments that we have to get to? We're going to get to the big 6-pack in a few moments. You can save the really great ones for that. But any questions, comments to get to right now?
No, nothing right now. We're collecting them for the 6-pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we will morph into Dave's fixins. When they ask me for my fixins, let's go to the fixins bar and figure out what the hell is going on here right now. When I went to the fixins bar originally, I just wanted to write back run defense, run defense, run defense, because you can't win if your run defense is allowing 276 yards. When I saw that yesterday, my original thought was, wait, they what? Like that, and I went to multiple different sites because it's almost unheard of. Teams do not allow 276 yards in the NFL on the ground. It doesn't happen. I mean, I don't have every stat of every team for every game so far this season, but I'm willing to bet you that you can count on one hand, maybe even like 3-finger Mordecai Brown could count on his one hand, how many teams have allowed 276 yards on the ground this season. And the answer is maybe none. I'll have to look it up. So run defense, absolutely, unequivocally has to be better against the Niners. And what worries you is if I said to you, rank the running backs in the NFL, Jonathan Taylor's got to be there. Saquon's got to be there. And Christian McCaffrey has to be there. And probably Bijan. Well, for your worries, for your trouble, you get Christian McCaffrey on the heels, by the way, of seeing the elite running back in the NFL in Saquon Barkley. And next week, for your troubles, you're going to get to see Chicago's running attack, which is not bad, with DeAndre Swift. And then you'll get to see Josh Jacobs. And then you'll get to see Jahmyr Gibbs. It's relentless. It never stops. So it's funny. Run defense, pass coverage. The problem with pass coverage is like run defense almost doesn't make sense with the amount invested defensively on this team as far as the front four is concerned. Pass defense makes sense. Like it was never good, but it's getting progressively worse because the secondary is so banged up. Cordell Flott is now hurt. Paulson Adebo is now hurt. Javon Holland is now hurt. Deontay Banks really should be hurt. You could pop up the injury, you guys. All right, you could throw it up there. So yeah, pass defense is just a massive, massive problem. And unless you get some health in that secondary, I don't know how it gets better. And lastly, on my list is kickoff coverage. The kickoff coverage for Philadelphia, their return game had been awful. In fact, in New York sports talk radio and New York sports shows like this one is, in Philly, the conversation was, how come they start every drive at the 24? Well, you want the magic elixir for what will help you with that? It's the Giants, because the Giants allowed Philly to start out past the 40 multiple times. So it's something that they're bad at, but we're so bad at that they're going to win the battle of which is more inept. And that is our guys defensively, special teams, kickoff coverage, more inept than their guys, kickoff coverage, special teams. So we have that going for us, which is nice. These things have to change. There was a time a couple of weeks back where we looked at the NFC standing and said, oh, there's a hope. There's a dream. There's a gleam. That's now gone. Let's bring up the NFC East standings. We know who's winning this division. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. They check in now at 6-2. And after that, it's all sub 500. So the Eagles are going to win this division again, which will be the first time in forever the team will go back-to-back and win this division. And I'm going to give you a prediction right now. And you can make a video out of this, like a quick 30-second video. But I don't know that it's groundbreaking, to be honest with you. There will be one team to come out of the NFC East this year. So if you are me or like me, that your number one priority is the Giants having a good season, and once you know the Giants will not have a good season, your number two priority is making sure the other teams within this division do not succeed, well, I got good news for you. You're not going to have to worry about that, because it will be the Eagles, and that's going to be it. The Cowboys, their defense it's not just bad. It's bad to the point that you've almost never seen anything like it before. I mean, every team can score 30, 35, 40 points in any given week. It is egregious. And they got blitzed yesterday in Denver, and they fall to 3-4-1. Washington is sitting here at 3-4, and they're 12-point underdogs on the road tonight, taking on Kansas City. So they're going to probably fall to 3-5. And then you have the Giants, who sit here at 2-6. So the Giants are going nowhere, but outside of Philadelphia having a chance, no one else is going anywhere either within this division. It's Monday, so it means we bring up the Mount Rushmore of the NFL. And what's today's Mount Rushmore in the NFL? I'll tell you what it is. This week, pop it up, guys. We're going with, at this very moment, the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. We, in no order, it's just the top four. We start with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, who, remember, the Giants had this Fugazi, we're going to go after him and make a move for him in the offseason nonsense. He's awesome. Now, he's terrific when he has Puka Nacua, and I get that he has elite weapons, and I get that he's got a mastermind in Sean McVay, but make no mistake, Matthew Stafford was great on Detroit. Matthew Stafford is great on the Rams. And don't sleep on the Rams. I think if we went through the Mount Rushmore of teams in the NFC right now, the Rams would be on that list. Matthew Stafford unequivocally checks in as one of the best four quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Who else is on this list? Let's continue along. Now, remember, guys like Joe Burrow not eligible because of injury. But Lamar Jackson has also been hurt, but Lamar Jackson has missed a couple weeks. And last we saw Lamar Jackson, he was playing at an unbelievable level. And I imagine if you see him this Thursday, which you're supposed to, down in Miami, he'll play at something very similar to that. He does everything, right? He buys time for himself. He throws downfield. He throws underneath. He's a great athlete. He's a great running quarterback. But what he's done now is he's kind of morphed his game into being from a running quarterback to a I'm so athletic, but I can buy time and still throw the ball downfield quarterback. So Lamar Jackson checks in that no order, but on our Mount Rushmore as well. And then we'll throw up the next one. And that's, now I would have saved this guy for last, but that's fine. Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is back to, and there was a little bit of a gap where it felt like the Chiefs were going through the motions and playing competent football, but not great football. And they would score 16 if the opponent scored 13, and they scored 27 if the opponent scored 24. And if he had to score 34 because the opponent scored 31, he would. But it felt like they took the foot off the gas and they went through the motions a little bit. Doesn't feel like that anymore, does it? Feels like Patrick Mahomes is back at that level, and Kelsey is probably not at that level. But I'll tell you what, with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, that is now a very functional offense. Andy Reid led. That's a real problem, that offense. And Mahomes is back to that. And I believe right now at this very moment, he is the odds-on favorite to be MVP of the NFL and number 4 of the Mount Rushmore. And I don't know why he's the only one wearing a helmet on this list, but he is, in fact, very concerned about concussions, and that is Josh Allen. Josh Allen is everything. If you take Josh Allen off of that team, they're forget about playoff team. They're probably picking top 10. That's how important he is. If you want to play the game of take this guy off their team, how big of a loss do they feel? No one is bigger than Josh Allen. Nobody. We see what the Ravens are without Lamar, right? And how they've basically crumbled without Lamar. We know that the Chiefs would be nothing compared to what we've seen without Patrick Mahomes, but nothing would be a bigger disaster than the Bills without Josh Allen. So to quickly recap, I like that photo of me staring down at these guys as if I'm kind of a deity and I'm looking down at them looking for approval. Stafford, Lamar, Mahomes, and Allen. That is your 4 Mount Rushmore for current NFL quarterbacks. Guys that were very close to making this list. Dak Prescott was close to making this list. Of course, Joe Burrow not eligible because he's been out for such a long time and will be out for such a long time. I think Jordan Love is someone that is not far from making this list. I think Jared Goff is someone that's not far from making this list. I think Jalen Hurts is someone. I don't love them. We know that. They can be considered for something like this. Those are kind of the guys. Sam Darnold is someone that's playing at a very high level right now. Justin Herbert is someone I thought about. Do we put him on this list? But at the end of the day, those are the 4 that we decided to go with. Or I should say I decided to go with. All right, guys, 6-pack. Come on here. And I know they've been streaming in. I'm assuming that because you guys are who you are and capable the way, in fact, you are, that this 6-pack is going to be legitimate, like a really good 6-pack. So let's throw them up there. All right, Dave's 6-pack, it says. Who has been the biggest black hole on the Giants? Whew. So you mean a specific player? I guess I can interpret it however I'd like to. Evan Neal has been a black hole, but Evan Neal doesn't even play. So I'm going to take him out of the equation. Who are we left with? Who could be a black hole on the Giants? There's nobody on the offensive line. Darius Slayton and just the underwhelming nature of what he is and who he is. But I think there's only one that I would be able to go with here as far as who's been the biggest black hole on the Giants, and that's got to be Deonte Banks. The weirdest piece of this is that when the Giants drafted Deonte Banks 3 years ago, and I know this is hard to even recall, he was good. Like they were for the first year, you thought, okay, well, that's going to be a hit from Joe Shane. And since then, he's gone from good to mediocre to bad to unplayable. Now, I know that corners, for the most part, are not looking for contact and they don't want to come up and tackle, but he doesn't want any contact. And on top of that, he's an awful cover corner. The truth in the matter is, and I'll let you in on a little secret, the only reason Deonte Banks plays on this team right now is because they drafted him in the first round. If Deonte Banks was a 5th-round pick, he wouldn't play. And what freaks you out about something like that is, think about how bad Evan Neal must be, right? The only reason Deonte Banks plays right now is because he's a 1st-round pick. Evan Neal was the 7th overall pick and is a healthy scratch game after game after game. So this is a long-winded answer of telling you Deonte Banks is the black hole right now on the Giants. All right, what else do we have? Question 2. Who would you take in a New York Giants all-time team at quarterback? Eli or Phil? It's a good question, but I love Phil Simms. I think there was no one, well, you say no one tougher. There might have been someone tougher. It might be Eli. But Phil Simms was a bulldog. Phil Simms was a winner. Phil Simms brought the Giants their first ever Super Bowl title. And Phil Simms in that game gave you 22 of 25, 88%, 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, Super Bowl MVP. So I look at Phil Simms on a mantle. But Eli Manning is just a different level. Eli Manning slayed the dragon. Eli Manning beat an 18-0, undefeated, unbeatable team. Now you say, well, the Tyree play was lucky. Maybe. Was the 3rd and 11 to Steve Smith for the first down? Was that lucky? Was the lob pass to Plexico Burress in the corner of the end zone for the touchdown? Was that lucky? Was the Mario Manningham dime in Super Bowl 46 to get the Giants to almost midfield? Was that lucky? What was out-dueling Brett Favre in the freezing cold temperatures at Lambeau Field? Was that lucky? Was beating the Falcons 24-2? Was that lucky in the postseason? Was going into San Francisco and beating the Niners and completing a huge 3rd down pass to Mario Manningham for a touchdown? Was that lucky? Was it lucky that his jersey was dangling off his shoulder pads and had to be helped up and dragged down the field? Was that lucky? Or is that more than lucky? Was it great? Was it the bigger the moment, the bigger the game, the better version you got of Eli Manning? Is that lucky, or is that just groomed to be what, in fact, he was? I love Phil. I think Phil Simms, if not for injuries and not for playing in that stadium where the wind was horrendous oftentimes, would be a Hall of Famer. But Eli Manning was a little bit better than Phil Simms. Good question. Really good question. Number 3 on the 6-pack. Do you think a top-level defensive coordinator would want to coach with Dable given his track record? Probably not. Probably not. So Wink Martindale, who was good, couldn't stand being here anymore because he couldn't stand Brian Dable. So he had to leave. So let me ask you this. Now, obviously the Giants and the quarterback situation is attractive, but Shane Bowen has been less than stellar. Brian Dable apparently is not an easy guy to get along with. Why, if you were a top-notch defensive mind, would you ever want to wind up on the Giants? I mean, that'd be the question that I would have. Like, if you can have your pick of the litter of the attractive places to go. Now, granted, Carter's a stud, and Thibodeau's good, and Burns and Okereke, right? Like, so they do have some pieces defensively, but why in the world would you ever want to wind up on the Giants where, quite frankly, it's less than awe-inspiring to work with Brian Dable? No, I don't think you'll get your pick of the litter as far as DC's this offseason. All right, question 4 on the 6-pack right here, okay? Is Believe still taped above the Giants' locker room door, or did the defense miss the assignment too? That's cute. And that's JJ Roth, who's a big listener of the show, and I believe lives down in Virginia. See that what I did there, JJ? I believe. No, it's not good. It's not good. Now, the Giants used to have on their locker room door, what was it? Oh, God, I can't even remember the exact quote they had on their locker room door. Offense sells ticket. Oh, man, I got to look this up because I used to know this, but I can't remember what it is, and I don't want to misquote it. But no, they do not have Believe taped on top of their locker room door. I don't believe they do. So, no, the answer to that is no. And I don't know what they're believing in right now. Anyway, that's not a great question. Of the 4, that to me is the worst that we've had so far. All right, question 5 on the 6-pack. Question 5 on the 6-pack. How bad was it when the league had to intervene with the franchise? Was it somehow worse than it currently is? That's a good question. So here's an interesting story. And a lot of people think this, but it's a misconception. There's this thought that Pete Rozelle, who was the commissioner at the time, the Mara family didn't get along. John and his brother hated each other. Not John, Wellington and his brother hated each other, and they didn't get along. And they couldn't agree on anything. And the Giants franchise was a disaster. And Pete Rozelle was of the mindset that we need a flagship franchise like the Giants to have a really good GM and a good coach. And George Young would be great to be that guy, right? That's the common thought, is that Pete Rozelle handed them as like a peace offering. Guys, Here's what it should be. It should be George Young. And then he's great. He dressed Sims and Taylor, and away we go, right? That's not accurate. And a lot of people think that's the story. The story is Wellington Mara loved George Young. But the problem was his relationship with his brother was so awful that the mindset was if he brings the idea of George Young to his brother, Tim, will scoff at it and just to be argumentative, say, we're not doing that. I don't want it. So he brought it to Pete Rozelle and said, I want George Young. Pete Rozelle brought back to the Mara contingent. I think this guy would be great for the organization. And Wellington was like, great idea. Same thing with the rest of the family. And that's how they wound up with George Young. So that's that. Now, the question is, was it this bad? It was bad. The Giants, it was probably worse, to be frank with you. The Giants went to the NFL championship game in 1963 and didn't go back to the playoffs until 1981. So you don't have that same duration of bad. But the fact is, every year the Giants are an irrelevant football team by October. So that's bad, but not as bad as it was. They were the laughingstock of the NFL for quite some time. And lastly, of the six-pack, how do you feel about the Giants hiring someone with Brian Flores and an elite offensive coordinator? Now, you say someone with Brian Flores. Does that mean Flores would be the DC, or that means Flores would be the head coach? I don't want Brian Flores to be the head coach of this team. And you say, well, maybe that's unfair. Maybe it is. But with the way Miami fell apart under his tutelage, I don't want to hand a tenuous situation into the hands of Brian Flores. If he was my defensive coordinator, I could wrap my arms around that. I definitely could. Like if Dable were to keep his job and Brian Flores becomes the defensive coordinator, you know what? I think you do a lot worse than that. So I think this is a success. I appreciate the six-pack. I think 5 of the 6 questions were very, very good. And I don't even blame JJ Roth for the question. I blame Nico, because Nico's got to be a better intermediary to hold off the bad questions from getting to me. So JJ Roth, you keep doing what you do. Nico, you have to be better at doing what it is, in fact, that you do.
Steve recommended that one to me.
And then to throw poor Steve under the bus like that. What did you just say? Did everyone hear that, or did I just hear that in my headphones? Why do you pop on? Why do you pop on and act like a man for a second and tell us what it is exactly that you said there? What did you say?
Steve recommended that one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write that.
Okay.
I'm tired of getting bombarded by the two of you.
Well, here's the thing,
Good.
pal. It's not going anywhere. All right, you are public enemy number
You got a
1.
log here, buddy.
I'll tell you what. If
That's
you
great.
can answer this question for me right now, I will never give you a hard time again,
Fantastic.
or at least not as often as I do.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Public enemy number 1. You know what that means, right? The biggest public enemy in the world
Yes.
you're trying to capture. Who was the first ever public enemy number 1? They created this for this person. I'll even break it down for you. This man was the first ever public enemy number 1.
John Wilkes Booth.
No. Nice guess.
That's
Right
a good
first
guess.
name, John Dillinger. John Dillinger, the first ever public enemy number 1. And what was the name of his right-hand man? Babyface Nelson. See, these are all little nuanced things that
Gotta
you
write
can
that
learn
down.
if you listen to this. Again, guys, we're going to say goodbye for the moment. Thank you for tuning in. It's very important. Your feedback, your involvement is what makes this thing go. So again, on Instagram, TikTok, at DR Giants Obsession, on Twitter, at DRNYGO, Spotify, Dave Rothenberg's Giants Obsession, YouTube, that's the big one. Like us, subscribe to us. The numbers continue to grow, so it is working. We'll be back Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern, with another edition of Dave Rothenberg's Giants Obsession.